Are you struggling to understand your business numbers? Are you wanting to take your business to the next level? Well, each week here on the Local Small Business Coach podcast, we dive into your business to help you not only understand the business numbers that matter, but we will discuss how to use them to increase your profits. Hi, I'm Tammy, and I'm on a mission to help our badass local business owners take their business to the next level. So if you're a badass or a badass in the making, let's get this party started. Hey, badass business owners. Welcome back to the show. Today, I want to take a deeper dive into something that I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about or been recommended or talked about. We've all heard the saying, you must work on your business, not just in your business. Well, a lot of that stems from a book that was written called the eMyth, and the recent version of it is called the eMyth Revisited. Matter of fact, you've probably been recommended this book by everybody that you know when you ask somebody for a great book on your business and how to get your business going and how to run your business and everything else. It's probably like the gold standard that gets thrown out there. Is it perfect? No. But will it give you a lot of insight into your business? What's interesting is, and the answer is yes, by the way. I just realized I never answered that question. What's happened is a lot of the folks that have gotten a lot of great information out of this book are people that have been in business for a couple of years. But it's a great book for somebody to read or listen to, by the way. You can do audio, you can do Kindle on your iPad, you can do a regular physical book. You know, even if you don't like reading, there's probably only a handful of books that you actually want to get your hands on if you truly want to understand your business better. Not just understand your business better, but you want to improve yourself as that owner of the business, the CEO of your business, if you will, that I'm always telling you want to strive to be. Now, you see it nominated, you see people recommend it, and they'll say, oh, this turned my life around, or it helped me understand my business better, blah, blah, blah. So what I thought I would do is on this episode, and it may go to 2, I'm going to try to do it in 1, but if it looks like it's too long, I'm going to break it into 2. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to go over the concepts of what you can expect when you're reading this book and why it's so important for you to understand some of these concepts that are in there. And at the same time is this way you'll say, hey, maybe I do need to pick this thing up and read it, because I definitely recommend it to everybody. Now, the main thing with the eMyth Revisited, there's probably 2 things that you hear about the most. The first one we just talked about, working on your business, not just in your business. And for those of you that have never heard this saying, really quickly, basically what it means is, most of the time as a small business owner, you're constantly being the doer in the business. You're doing things, you're making the business happen, you're providing the service yourself, you're doing all the work. But you need to set aside time to work on the business to help it grow, to run the behind the scenes aspects of running a business, the parts the less sexy parts, if you will, of that business. You need to be figuring out, where am I going to get more customers? How am I going to grow my sales, etc., which we'll go into more in a little bit here. But so you've heard that. We've all heard that. That's probably the number one takeaway that people get out of the book is working on the business, not just in the business. But the other part you may have heard some of, and I know I've mentioned it a few times myself, is the concept that as a business owner, we wear 3 hats. Now, people will call these hats something different all the time, but at the end of the day, they roll into these same 3 categories. Well, in the eMyth Revisited, those hats are the technician, or what you always hear me call the doer, okay? The technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. These are the 3 hats that you're wearing in your business. And what Michael Gerber, who's the author of the book, what Gerber says is that to build a business, we need to wear all 3 of these hats, the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. And that all of those roles are important to the development and success of our business. And I will tell you, that is absolutely true. Now, what's interesting is when I look at the book and I look at that saying, I realize that that's how it is in any business. Because when I go back even to my Home Depot days and how one of the great things about Home Depot is they empower the department supervisors, the assistant managers, and store managers to really own their business. And what's interesting is at different times, same thing was happening. People were wearing those 3 hats. And when I look back at my past, that was something that was drilled into me very early on. It was called something different, but it's the same thing: the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. And the best way to look at it is the technician is the person who actually does the work. They're the ones that are in the business, getting gritty, getting dirty, and doing the thing that it is that you do. The manager is the one who kind of runs the place, okay? They're the ones that are making sure the bookkeeping is done. They're the one that is making sure that the emails are answered, that the phone is being taken care of, okay? They order the supplies. That's being the manager. You're actually managing the pieces of the business, not just the doing of the business. And then the third hat is the entrepreneur, who is the lifeblood, who creates and creates that vision, if you will, for where the business is going. So they're not just living day to day. So like the technician is doing the day to day, the manager is making sure that the day to day is going smoothly. But the entrepreneur is somebody who's looking forward and saying, okay, where are we taking this business? Where is it going? And that's where that hat is. So at any given time, you're wearing one of those 3 hats. And what's interesting is, and this is just from me, not from the book, every time you have a problem and you have a situation, I want to challenge you to look at it through all 3 eyes, because what the doer would tell you to do is different than what the manager would tell you to do and what the entrepreneur might tell you to do. Now, it's easy. The decisions we can make on the fly is because we know that all 3 people agree this is the right decision to make. But when we have to make a really big decision about the future, for example, one of the challenges is people want to jump in. For example, when people always tell me, oh, I want to get into other markets, or I want to expand and I want to go do this. Well, yeah, that's the technician. You want more jobs. You want something to do, and the manager has to step in first and say, okay, can I manage all this additional business? How am I going to market and get into those areas? How am I going to handle that additional workflow that's coming in? And the entrepreneur is sitting there going, oh, hey, we'll make this thing huge. We're going to take over the entire state. We're going to world domination, and really all 3 people have to be in check before we make those kinds of decisions. And it's not just that decision. It could be something really small within the business at the same time, but you're wearing all 3 hats. So let's take a look a little bit closer at all 3 of them. Okay. The technician, when you're reading the book, and kind of the concepts that he brings out, is the technician is basically, like we said, managing all the aspects of the business. They love what it is that they do. They're the doers. They're getting their hands dirty. And believe it or not, the technician is typically the reason we even started the business, because we love what it is that we do. We got tired of working for somebody else, and we said, hey, I can do this. Why not go into business for myself? The problem is that just because they're really good at what it is that they do, they might be lousy at the other pieces of their business. Just because they're a fantastic plumber doesn't make them all of a sudden a great office manager, if you will. So the technician is more of the hands-on, gritty, get your hands dirty. They love what they do, but they tend to hate the boring parts of running the business, the marketing, the numbers, the processes, stuff like that. And he talks about that in the book as well. But like we talked about, the problem is to have a success. You can only grow your business so far by only wearing the technician hat. And that's why a lot of businesses kind of stall out, because all they're doing is enough work to keep themselves busy, and they're not paying attention to their numbers. They don't care where the next phone call is coming. And if they're good at what they do, then a lot of times they kind of get stuck there, because word of mouth is letting people know what it is that they do, but they never really get that business off the ground and running, if you will. It's just they build this whole reputation of being really good at what it is that they do. But at the end of the day, they might take in, they might do, $100,000 in sales, but profitability might only be 20, 25, because they've never learned the art of how do I build this into a money-making thing versus just, doing the jobs. Now, the manager, like we talked about earlier, they're doing the daily tasks to run the business. The email, the phone calls, the bookkeeping, ordering of supplies, stuff like that. Now, they should be between both hats of the manager and the entrepreneur. They should also be the person who's looking at the numbers, because we can't make informed decisions without looking at the numbers. And you hear me talk about that all the time. But because they are not part of that fun part, quote unquote, this is a hat that a lot of times people don't wear because they don't want to be on the phone. They don't want to be on a computer. They don't want to be looking at these numbers. And this is what trips up a lot of business owners. They're the ones that have to make sure that it's your manager hat that helps you put into place the processes you need to be profitable, the processes you need to be able to expand and grow your business. That's when you're wearing your manager hat, when you're actually working on the business and not just in the business. So the in the business person is the technician. The on the business person is the manager. There's boring parts to our business, but in order for you to be a true business person, what he talks about is the fact that you've got to embrace that side and at least surround yourself with people that can help you with that piece. But you've got to get better at it, because you can't delegate all of it away, because if you're not paying attention, once again, you're going to be doing tons of sales, but you really are not going to be having tons of process because nobody's managing that piece. And then, as we talked about, the entrepreneur is more the visionary, the person who can say, hey, I can, like we said, world domination. They can take on the world. They can go do all of these different things. So at different times, you wear different parts of that hat. And when you keep reading the book, one of the things it talks about is the stages of your business. For example, the beginning stages he calls the infancy stage of your business, just like a toddler, a little baby. It's the infancy stage. And this is where you're going to find that the technician is mainly the hat that you're wearing in the beginning. You're doing everything. You haven't hired anybody. You're just doing everything yourself. You're the main person. And what he talks about is part of the reason why so many businesses never get out of the infancy stage into the next stage, which is called the expansion stage, is what he calls it, is because they get very comfortable, and they're going to have to get out of their comfort zone in order to grow the business. So I want to ask you, for some of you guys that have been in business for a while and you do the majority of the work, what's keeping you from going to that next stage? More than likely, you are suffering from what he's talking about, how it's uncomfortable. You have to do things that you're not comfortable with. And it might be more of that manager hat. It might be getting out, learning how to use your computer better, how to use certain programs, learning and understanding your numbers better. It might be getting out into the community. It's that uncomfortableness that prevents you from growing your business. And, here's the thing. I feel you, and I know why you don't want to do it. We don't like to be out of our comfort zone. If we say, hey, you know what, I can survive. I make enough money doing what it is that I'm doing. We stay in that infancy stage. And infancy doesn't necessarily mean your first year in business. It doesn't necessarily mean your second year in business. There are people that have been in business for 15 years or more, and they are still in the infancy stage because they just don't want to step out of their comfort zone to grow and expand the business, because you are going to be forced into your uncomfort zone. You're going to have to go into these uncharted waters and try to figure out how it is that you learn these new skills that you need to be able to grow that business. In order to go into that expansion field, not only do you have to step into your comfort zone, one of the things the book talks about is the need to take action, because there's a lot of times where we read, we understand, we listen, we talk, but we never take the action. And it holds up a lot of people from being able to grow, is because they can sit there and they can tell you all the right words. They can tell you the right way of everything, but they never take the action, the steps needed to be able to do it. And it's difficult because they're the ones that go, I know. Well, if you know so much, how come you're not doing it? And that comes down to, it's not about the fact that somebody doesn't know it. They just don't take the necessary action steps to be able to grow and expand the business. All right. Now, here's the thing. you can make choices, and he even talks about this in the book. You can make a choice to stay small, to not grow, to just have a good, solid little business. But you need to make sure that it's a conscious decision that that's what you're doing. But more than likely, you're doing it because you don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't want to have to take those steps. The other thing is you can kind of, he talks about the fact that you can just pray and hope that one day you're going to blink and wake up and your business is going to double. Well, we all know that that's not the way that it works. You have to, once again, take the action. You need to take the steps to grow and wear all three of your hats to be able to grow your business. So you can either consciously admit the fact that you're not going to grow, or B, you can sit there and hope and pray that it's going to grow. But ultimately, what a lot of folks end up doing is option C, which is they take actions and they learn new business skills and they learn to look at their business through a different set of eyes. They're more open to what other business owners have to tell them. They start looking for coaches. They start looking for other training avenues for them to be able to learn parts of their business. They're willing to take chances that they know may or may not work. They'll take the opportunity to listen to say maybe they're not priced as competitively as they should. They're not willing to take the chance to raise their prices just because this is what people have been paying all along. Well, you know what? You have to step out and say, you know what? My value has gone up. Therefore, my prices have gone up. There's some type of something that's making them uncomfortable. So when we take option C, we have to take that action and we have to learn how to be open to making changes in our business. And then finally, what he talks about, the third stage, we have infancy stage, we have expansion stage, and then we have the maturity stage. And that's where, you really get to, start exceeding the expectations of everybody. Because when you're really hitting on all cylinders, you're learning, you're growing, you're taking chances. When you start to mature, this is when you're really going crazy and you're putting systems in place all over the place. You're making sure that everything, any new person can walk right in and learn exactly what it is, that process that they need to be doing. You're exceeding the expectations of your customers. You're exceeding the expectations of your employees. You've got high value and quality in your business. Your numbers inside and out. You're making sure that you're using the numbers to help you grow your business. And it's just more of, it's kind of like, if you think about it, being an adult, we called it adulting, right? That you can sit there and there's people that can be 30 years old, but they've never grown up. They never take any responsibility. Somebody else is always taking care of them. In which case they did grow from being an infant from that infancy stage, and they expanded into being an adult, but they never really took full responsibility for their life. And there's something that clicks in people where all of a sudden you're like going, wow, when did you grow up? That's really the maturity stage, when you really start to realize and own up to your choices, and you start making choices that are a little bit uncomfortable, and you're doing it on a regular basis because you just know that you have to. So if you think about it, your business is very similar to that, but our lives are very similar to our business, and we think about how we grow from that infancy to the expanding to the maturity. Your business is no different. So this is kind of like a crash course, if you will, into what you're going to find when you dive into the eMyth Revisited. And obviously he goes into a lot more detail and explains things. And if you are somebody that really wants to go from that infancy stage and start growing your business, if you really want to step away from just doing all the time, I highly recommend that you grab a copy of this book, go on eBay, get it. It's something that you don't have to try to read in one sitting. You know what? Even if you just took 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day and read, and then you stopped and read a chapter and you stopped and you read every day and just digest the information, you're not necessarily going to agree with every single thing that he says in the book. But let me ask you this. If you walked away with just one good nugget out of that book, and it made a big difference in your business, don't you think that the $20 you spent on the book, or whatever it is, I don't remember off the top of my head, don't you think that the money you spent on that book and the time that you spent on that book was worth it? Because if you can turn around and you can make thousands of dollars, it seems silly not to take the $20, $25, whatever that book is, and the time to just take 10, 15 minutes of your morning every morning and just read a little bit of it, or a little bit, 10, 15 minutes at night. I'm not telling you to go on some of you guys who are voracious readers, read the whole thing in one shot. But then you're going to come back and want to read it slowly. I personally recommend you read just a little bit every single day, that 10, 15, 20 minutes, digest that information, think about it, chew on it, and then say, hey, how does this pertain to me? And am I taking these chances? And am I doing these things right? That's really what you're going to get out of the book. There's a reason so many business owners recommend this book. To me, there's two books that everybody should make sure that they read and understand. One is the eMyth Revisited, and the second one is Profits First. Those are two books that it's funny because the first time you read them, you actually will read these books a couple of times because they both give you some aha moments, some insight. And then when you start realizing how impactful they are, you actually go back for more. So that way you can dive in deeper into them. And we'll have to do that on the Profit, just like we're doing right now on eMyth. But the eMyth Revisited by Michael Gerber is a no-brainer. Every single one of you guys should make sure that you're reading that. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I haven't done this for a while, but what I'm going to do is I will make a link. It's going to be an affiliate link. I'm going to go into Amazon, do that Amazon affiliate link thing, and I'm going to put it in the show notes. So this way that you guys can just click on it and you're able to go get it. Okay. That way, or if, jump into Amazon on your own and go get it, or go to a bookstore and get it. I just care that you get it. That's my main thing. I'll make it easy by putting it attached to this. So that way you can just scroll down to the show notes and do it. But please, whatever you do, please start thinking bigger than just being the technician in your business. I want you to be more than just the doer in your business. And I'm going to be honest with you. I will say 99% of you that are listening today want to be that person. If you're just starting out your business, you want to think of the future. So you know what? You should grab that book. If you've been in business for a long time, you definitely need to read that book if you haven't. If you've read it a long time ago, dust it off, read it again. I'm telling you, it's going to be something that's going to help you understand how it, and if you think about it, everything we talk about on this show is tied to this. We have different shows that talk about the different aspects of sometimes we're talking about the technician side, sometimes we're talking about the manager side, sometimes we're talking about the entrepreneurship side. We're talking about all these aspects of your business anyways. You know what? This is where I always call it just being the CEO of your business, because when you're the CEO of your business, that's when you are wearing that entrepreneur hat about the company and where is it going and how do you make that happen. And there's times when we're talking about how you can be doing better with the quality and improving, your website or improving different things. That's when we're talking about the manager side of your business. And then there's times we're talking about the actual doing of the business. Very rarely are we talking about the actual doing, because that's the stuff you guys are really good at. And the reason that you're listening is you want to get better at the whole thing and being well-rounded. And that's where this book is going to help you go to that next level. I'm just rattling, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Like I said, I'll put a link in the show notes for you so that way you can get it. And I highly, highly, highly recommend to every single one of you guys that this is if you only have 2 books on your shelf, 2 books, it's eMyth Revisited is one of them. Profits First is the other one. But I really want to make sure that you guys understand these concepts and try to understand it more. And even if you don't want to read, then go onto YouTube, go see what you can find on it, whatever the case may be. But just make sure that you realize that you do wear the 3 hats in your business: the technician, the manager, the entrepreneur. It really understands it. Just know there's 3 stages to the growth of your business: infancy stage, expansion stage, and maturity stage. And you want to know where you're at with all these things. And you want to make sure that you find a way to work on your business, not just in your business, because as you grow, you're going to do less and less of the in, more and more of the on. And that's where your people come in. And that's how you grow and this into a massive business. And massive can mean different things to some of you. Some of you, it is that world domination. You want to own your entire state. For some of you, it's just you want to be the number 1 place in your town or city that people call and think of, and whatever that looks like to you. But odds are you're doing one or the other. All right. With that, I'm out of here. I'll talk to you on the next episode. Bye for now. Hey, badass business owners, before you go, just one thing. If you ever feel like you're alone and you would love to be with a like-minded group of individuals, head on over to our Badass Local Small Business Owner Facebook page. We have no spamming, no advertising, anything like that. Just your questions, mine, and we just kind of help each other out, grow our businesses, and share knowledge. You can feel free to know that you're in a safe place and ask your questions of people that are actually going to care about you. So once again, head on over to Facebook,
It's the Badass Local Small Business Owner page. You can also hit the show notes and it's right there. Once again, it's going to be stuff and people out there that care about you and helping you grow your business.